Hello, welcome to Truth and Justice with Vivian King. I am your host, Vivian King, and tonight we have another very interesting topic for you. We have a young man who was charged with aggravated robbery. We want to seek the truth about what happened. We want to educate you about the Harris County criminal justice system, and we want to do it through his story. We want you to have a voice. We want you to be able to call in and voice your comments, ask your questions, but we want to gear it toward educating you about what happens when you're charged with a serious crime like aggravated robbery. We hope the moral to the story is that you don't go and take a gun and try to rob someone, but if a person is caught in that situation, how it actually works down at the courthouse. So graciously, Michael DeWalt has agreed to tell his true crime story, to share with you what he's learned, and to tell you how he was convicted for 35 years. He came out, and now he helps others and tries to prevent other young men from getting into the same position that he's in. I applaud him, I admire him, and I'm honored to be able to tell his story tonight. So we'll go into what happened. I'll tell you a little bit about it to start off. He was charged with aggravated robbery in 1989. He was convicted about 21 months later in 1991, and a jury gave him 35 years. I want him to have about 10 minutes to tell his story before you start calling in, and we want to go through all of the lessons learned in his situation. So thank you again, and we're going to go straight to Michael DeWalt.
How you know?
Good. Thank you for agreeing, Michael. And I know it's awkward.
Nah,
but tell us who you are today and what the name of your organization is.
Well, right now, I have an organization called the SHARK Program. It's an acronym for Still Helping At-Risk Kids, and I'm the co-owner and operator of D's Paragon Barbershop.
Okay. And thank God you were able to make a way after going to prison, because so many young men, after they get out of prison, can't find jobs. And one of the things I'm always preaching to them is sometimes you have to make your own job.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you did, and I admire you for it. But let's go back into your mindset in 1989.
Yes, ma'am.
You had already graduated from high school.
Yes, ma'am, a couple of months earlier.
Okay.
And, you know, I had the same mindset of every other kid that probably was growing up in the inner city. You know, I was trying to create my own way. I was in the streets, but I was also, you know, brought up in a pretty good household, even though my mom was a teenage mother, you know, single parent home. But she still, you know, took me to church, showed me the right way, what to do. But I chose to live double life, running the streets, going to school, doing what I had to do. When school let out, doing what I wanted to do.
So you went to school, you went to church, you did what your single mother asked you to do.
Yeah.
But as a working parent, she couldn't see everything that you were doing.
No.
And so you were a good kid in front of her and your grandmother.
Yes.
The people who raised you.
Yes.
But then when it came to outside of your mother and your grandmother, you did what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And so at 19, you kind of got caught up. You graduated from high school.
Yes.
And had you gone to college yet?
No.
Were you working?
Yes.
Okay, where were you working?
Jack in the Box.
Okay, so that's an appropriate job for a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
But tell me what went wrong.
Well, you know, like I said, I was out there in the streets. I was selling drugs, doing it like, you know, everybody else that I knew was doing, you know. And then at one day, when I had the incident at Sharpstown Mall, you know, I went in there, me and my friend, we having fun at the mall, taking care of our business, come out, group of guys come through in a van, one of them throw a bill bottle, glass break on the ground, slap us out on the legs and everything. We shoot a finger at them. They come back around the corner, saying we're going to teach these ends a lesson.
And ends for niggas. We're going to teach these niggas a lesson.
Yeah, we're finna teach these niggas a lesson. Okay. So when they say they finna teach these niggas a lesson, it's 4 or 5 of them. They got sticks. You know, we didn't want to get it, you know what I'm saying? We didn't want the trouble like that, but we got guns. They got sticks.
Right.
So I pulled a gun out. In 89, this not, you know what I'm saying, everybody just didn't have Glocks. The Glock looked plastic. So I guess they said it's a fake gun. When they said it's a fake gun, he swung a stick, we shot at him. Okay. After we shot at him, we took off running.
But nobody got hurt?
Nobody got hurt.
And it was 4 white guys and 2 white girls?
Yes.
They called you a nigga, threw a bottle at you, and also swung at you with a stick and thought it was a play gun, so they came at you, got close to you.
Exactly.
So you shot at them, but you didn't shoot them.
Exactly.
Nobody got shot, nobody got hurt.
Yes.
You guys are on a bus So you had ridden the bus to
Yeah.
Sharpstown Mall to Bel Air.
Yes.
So you're running from the mall
Trying to get away.
back to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Okay, and after that, what happened?
Well, how fate has it, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, a robbery had to been being committed in an apartment complex that's right near the mall. So when the officers caught us, they caught me. They brought me back to the scene of the crime. You know
So they didn't catch your friend.
No, they caught me. When they brought me back to the scene of the crime, they asked the woman, "Is this the guy?"
And let me back up before you tell that. So you have this altercation with 6 white kids, and
Yeah.
it seems like it's really just a racial situation that got out of
Yes.
hand, but nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
You and your friend didn't get hit with a stick,
Yeah.
and even though y'all shot at them, nobody got hurt.
Exactly.
Y'all run, think it's over.
Yeah.
Then the police grab you and arrest you, and you don't know what you think you're getting arrested because you shot at these
Exactly.
white teenagers, right?
Exactly.
But when you get back to the scene, you find that there's a female that says she's been robbed.
Exactly.
So the police take you to the scene, back to Sharpstown. A woman, a white female, comes up, I guess. Is she in a car or is she
No,
on
she's
foot?
standing on the side with, I guess it's her family came out there or whatever, and she's in the middle of them crying or whatever, and they brought her up to the car with me in the back seat. When they brought her up to the car, they asked her, "Is this the guy?" She said, "No, I can't tell you. I don't know if he's black, white, yellow, or green. I don't know.
So she said, I don't know who robbed her.
I don't know."
So, but you still go down and get charged with aggravated robbery.
Exactly.
So how did that make you feel, knowing that you hadn't robbed her and she said you didn't do it?
Well, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Knowing, not sitting here trying to be an angel, because I know I'm far from an angel. I know what I've done in my life. Knowing that what had taken place with me and my friend, knowing that we was in Sharpstown in Bel Air, and what done happened with these white guys, when they told me that, I was happy because I know they couldn't prove I did nothing like that because I ain't do it.
Right.
So I wasn't even worried. So I know, get a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking to trial.
So you bond out of jail. And when you bond out of jail, what happened?
The people that chose to come pick me up chose to have drugs in the car, and I went out but a couple of hours, right back in the same cell.
So you get bonded out. You leave your buddies who pick you up from the jail on your bond for aggravated robbery. They get stopped, pulled over, and there's drugs in the car, and everybody now gets charged with drugs. And that's not even your drugs.
Yes.
Did you try to tell the police, I just got out of jail 2 hours ago?
I had my papers still in my pocket.
You still had your bond papers in your pocket?
Still in my pocket.
Wow. So you have your bond papers in your pocket, but they still, and no, you're not driving.
Took me right back to 10D2.
So everybody, so you get back to the same cell, just lost somebody's bond money that they posted. Who posted your bond?
My mom.
So you just lost her probably $30,000. Let me see. I pulled your record to see what your bond, to see if I could see what your bond was.
I think it was 20.
$20,000. Okay. So you lose the bond money that they set for you, and now you are back in jail with 2 cases now.
Exactly.
So how'd you pick the lawyer that you hired?
Well, actually, you know what I'm saying, my mom went and got him. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, she always, you know, our people, they love to file victim for that sad story of the church and all this, and he was from the Shape Community Center, so he told her if she paid this amount of money that he'll be able to do something for me or whatever. So she took the last money that I had left from, you know, whatever I was doing in the streets and sold my vehicle and all that, and she did what she could, and she paid him.
So what did you expect when you paid a lawyer?
Well, actually, all I wanted him to do was, you know what I'm saying, go in there and show that I couldn't have done that.
Right.
You know, I wasn't, when they indicted me on that, it was no need for me to defend that.
Because you didn't do that.
That's what I'm saying. If they'd asked me about the other situation, I gotta defend that.
Right.
This cakewalk, they done messed up.
Right. Right, so you never thought you could be convicted of an aggravated robbery that you didn't commit.
Exactly.
But you knew that you had been in an altercation where you shot a gun, so if they'd have charged you with aggravated assault, then you might have had to defend that.
Exactly.
Even though you thought you were defending yourself, because they had, you said they were like the closet handle sticks, so the closet, like the rods in the closet, that's the kind of rods that came out.
The wood sticks.
The wood closet rods. Okay, you would have had to defend that.
Exactly.
And say you were self-defense, even though you knew you had a gun and they had
sticks.
They had sticks. So, but big sticks. Big sticks. Okay. So, but what did your lawyer do to defend you?
I don't think he did anything to defend it, honestly, because, you know, there was no affirmative weapon finding, nothing was taken, nothing was asked for. You know what I'm saying? They said a positive identification. I got on the witness stand and testified, as well as the victim. She stated I had one thing on. our stories conflicted.
Now tell me what she said you had on.
She said I had on a white shirt and some blue jeans.
But you went to jail right after that,
Yeah, at the scene.
And your lawyer was able to show from the Harris County Jail when you get booked and processed the clothes that you had on.
Yes.
So he subpoenaed and had the booking officer come in to show what clothes you went to jail in that day.
Exactly.
And what colors were those?
Black. I had a black jacket, black warm-up pants, and a black hat.
Because it was December. This happened December 3rd of 1989, so it's cold outside.
Exactly.
So you had on black, but she said you had on a white T-shirt and blue jeans. So the description was all off.
Exactly.
And they know that you couldn't have changed because you weren't in a car, there were no clothes around, or whatever. How did they deal with that? How did the prosecutions deal with that?
That was at the end of the trial. You know what I'm saying? After that, that's when the jury deliberated. That was the end of the trial.
Did your lawyer ever go and try to find the guy that was with you to testify?
If he did, he didn't do it to my knowledge. He never came to me by anybody.
So your coworker, so the guy that you went to the mall with never testified?
Never.
But if he would have testified, he would have told the same story you did.
What happened with us? Yeah.
What happened with you? And did your lawyer ever try to your knowledge, a good lawyer is supposed to investigate a crime. So I'm asking him these questions, but I'll just cut through the chase and just say this. A good lawyer should take the story that he has, try to get the subpoena the 911 tape for all of the calls that were received in that time period, because there are a lot of incidents going on at Sharpstown Mall. So you try to maybe get all of the 911 calls for that day at Sharpstown Mall at that address. And so you can listen to them, so you can try to determine who did the calling, because a lot of times, in 1989, people didn't have cell phones. That wasn't common. I didn't get a cell phone until, I think, November of 1992. And that was my present to myself for passing the bar.
Yes.
So people didn't have phones. So we know that when people calling in, they're either calling at a pay phone, which was still real common at the time, and there should have been a pay phone call to 911. So that would have been the first thing. And with that, you might have found who those young men are that were at the mall, and found out who that you had the actual altercation with. Yes. Because they probably called in too if they got shot at, unless they were in the mall doing wrong too.
Exactly.
So you don't know. But you certainly should have had the person that you were with. Now, there could have been some fear that he would have been charged, but there still should have been an attempt to get him there. Exactly. Now, he could have come to court and been subpoenaed and taken the fifth, pled the fifth, and say, I'm not going to say anything that might incriminate me. But at least you and the jury could know that this person took the fifth, or that he's not available. Yeah. But that should have happened, and that didn't happen in your case.
Not at all.
And also in a case like this, in today's trials, you need to have a jury, an expert that testifies to the shakiness of identification. Because when people are under stress and they get robbed, usually it happens so quickly that they don't see who did it. Exactly. Or if they have a gun, they look away from their faces, because people feel like if you make eye contact with the person with the gun, then he might go ahead and shoot you because you can see them. So I've talked to people who've been robbed, and they say, no, they didn't even make eye contact with the person. So it sounds like, I'm wondering how she went from at the scene saying that you hadn't done anything, or it wasn't you, and she couldn't identify the person, to coming into court in 1991, a year and a half later, saying that it's looking at you in the courtroom and saying that's the man that robbed me. How did y'all get there? How did that happen?
Exactly. Like I told my attorney, I'm saying, man, did the DA show a picture of me? Because you got to look at, I went in '89 at 19. I probably was about 175 pounds. 21 months in the county, I was about 205, 210. I had to cut my hair off, everything. So
you didn't even look the same.
That's what I'm saying. For her to come in here, out there, I probably had facial hair and everything. In there, I couldn't have that. So for her to come 21 months later and say, oh, that's him, you had to have been coached or something.
Right. I can see that being a concern of yours, that she was coached. Wow. And the lady didn't even live here. Didn't they have to bring her in from Mississippi?
Yes, my case had been on, actually the DA in Houston right now, Patricia Lycos. I was in court 180. She was the judge. My case had been on her docket for so long that she actually told the DA that if he didn't have that witness there the next day, she was going to dismiss the case. And he found her in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And she was there at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Wow. And let me just clarify what he said, that when the Judge Pat Lycos was the judge of the 180th District Court in '89 when Michael went to trial. She's now the Harris County District Attorney. When he's saying that the judge was going to dismiss it, judges don't have the power to dismiss cases. That's just kind of street slang. Prosecutors bring the charges, prosecutors go to trial and prosecute you, and prosecutors dismiss charges. Judges sign off on it. What if she said she was going to dismiss it, or it was interpreted? What that means is that the judge has this power. The judge is the administrator of the court. There might be 800 to 1,000 cases pending. What Pat Lycos had, the Judge Lycos could do at that time was say, this case is going to trial Monday. I'm not giving you any more continuances to find your witnesses. Monday, we're going to trial. So if you don't have your witness, what the judge does is they say, okay, we're calling your witnesses. Come on, state, let's start this trial up. Come on, let's pick a jury. Call your first witness. Yes. If she says call your first witness and the woman's not there, what has to happen? The case has to be thrown out because there's no witnesses. And so then the judge has the power to say, well, I find him not guilty because you didn't call a witness to the stand. So when he was given that ultimatum to either have your witness here or I'm going to call you to trial without a witness, then they went and found a witness and told the person what the problem was. But one of the reasons why I do this show is to educate people. Judges cannot, it's not in their power, in their authority to dismiss a case. All they can do is referee the case. They are the referee. So they can call a case to trial, and you can have a trial before a judge only, which is called a court trial, or you can have a jury trial. And like I said, the judge will say, call it to court and rule on the evidence. But if there's no evidence, then the ruling has to be what? Not guilty. So what the judge really would be doing is finding you not guilty. So, but the easy way to say is to say dismiss it. A lot of times my clients come up to me and they say, Ms. King, I want to talk to the judge. I want to talk to the judge. And you can't talk to the judge. The judge is the referee. If you are in jail and you write the judge has to just put that in the file. Public record file, the clerk's file, where everybody sees it. The lawyer, the prosecutor, anybody that goes to the district clerk's office can read it. But you cannot ex parte a judge. Ex parte means talk to the judge alone, because a judge has to be refereed by two people. So if a person is writing a judge, that would be one person communicating with the judge. So it's forbidden. It can't happen. So you can't do that. And people do that a lot. If they don't like their lawyer, they'll write the judge and think the judge is reading it. Or people will say, let me talk to the judge. So I just want to throw that out there, that you can't do that. You have to talk to your lawyer, and the prosecutor is representing the alleged victim. And the prosecutor really has a lot of power and a lot of discretion as to what they do with a case and what they don't do to a case. And so if you're watching, please call us and talk to us about the case. Call in at the number 713-807-1794. We're ready to hear from you and see what you think about his case. Now, you went to trial. A jury found you guilty. And then the second part of the trial is where you're sentenced. Did you get sentenced by a judge or a jury?
Judge.
The judge? And so the judge gave you 35 years. And you didn't have any prior criminal history.
No.
So how did you feel about getting 35 years? Did you think that was fair?
I thought it was outrageous.
Because you could have gotten from probation all the way up to life in prison.
Well,
so I guess 35 years is in the middle.
Well, actually, they said at the time when I caught that case that aggravated robbery didn't carry probation.
You're right. You're actually right. A jury can give you probation, but a judge can't give you probation on aggravated robbery. So to me, that's another mistake your lawyer made. Because when we go to trial on cases, if I have to go to trial on aggravated robbery, a lawyer has to, before the trial starts, file a motion for probation. It's required under the law. If you're found not guilty, you walk out of there. But if you're found guilty, the jury, it has to already be on file so the judge will know how to allocate the time for the trial. Because if jurors come in, you need to know if you're going to be here 3 days or 5 days. And because the punishment phase is a separate trial where you can have witnesses, the judge needs to know how much time to allocate and to tell those jurors who are volunteering their time how much time they have to take off work. So that was a mistake, because once you let the judge elect for the judge to do the punishment, that means that you can't get probation. But a jury could have given you probation. And anytime you go to trial on an aggravated case, you want to file a motion for probation so the jury at least has that option. So that was a fatal flaw. When you did your appeal, was there any complaint about that? That they asked for a jury, the judge, not the jury?
Well, actually, by the time by the time I got my appeal in, I had been probably incarcerated about 4 years. I had been almost 5 years before I got to prison because it was the time when Harris County was overcrowded and they opened up all those outer counties. So they sent us to an outer county and we was there like lost in the system for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Because our family was writing us in diagnostics and everything was saying they in transit. Like we was in between going from this unit to that unit when we was at outer units that Harris County was subcontracted.
Wow, we have a call. Caller, thank you for calling. You're on.
How are you doing, Attorney King?
Hey, who is this?
I'm Stephen.
Hey,
Manley.
Stephen.
How you doing, Mr. DeWalt?
What's going on, brother?
I just got a quick question I'd like to address and ask. What can a person do if they're found in a situation of mistaken identity like Mr. DeWalt was? What can they do to clear their name after they've been through a process like that?
The only legal vehicle is to file a writ of habeas corpus. And you can only file one writ, and the writ means let my body go. So you'll hear people say writ, you'll hear them say 1107 writ because it's in the Code of Criminal Procedure under Section 1107, or in the Penal Code under 1107. And that's what you can do. But if a lot of times when people do long sentences like Mr. DeWalt, they'll file one, but you can really only file one unless there's some newly discovered evidence. And that's what you're trying to do. So if he's already filed one and it wasn't granted, then he's kind of stuck. He can get he can get a governor's pardon. That's the other option. He can get a pardon from the governor.
Now, I heard you allude to, or Mr. DeWalt allude to the fact that he now is a self-made entrepreneur and have began to start his own business, and because start his own business and to work for himself because it's so difficult for a person to have a criminal record, especially being African American, to find a job after they have been labeled as a felon.
Right.
What could be done to, I guess, minimize the overbroad use of conviction records in employment after a person has been convicted of a crime?
I think, well, employers can choose criteria the way they want. I think that we need our leaders in the community to go out to companies and try to advocate for companies to give felons second chances, maybe to start them off at lower pay scales until they work their way through and show that they can work the job and do training. But unless our leaders, like the big black churches or white churches even, the leaders of the community say we want to have second chance programs, nothing's going to happen because an employer can hire you. A lot of people get in trouble and they get a job, but they get a job with somebody they know or that somebody allows them to work there. But just on a general basis, if a company needs someone and they have to decide between a person who has a record and not, they're just not going to take the risk. Yeah. So you have to have someone that's dedicated. So one of my lifelong missions has been to try to advocate for second chances. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing this show, is to let people can reach out and touch and feel people who make mistakes so that we can have open conversations, so that we can go to the polls and vote, because so many young people are in the system, and when we try to tell them to go vote, they won't go vote. They say, oh, who cares? They're going to do what they want to do. Well, y'all are they. You know, the young people are they. They are the future. They are the future judges, the future state representatives, and if they don't get involved, you know, we'll all be dead. Yeah. You know, and they've got to get involved, and then you can, if you elect people who believe in second chances, then second chances programs can be created. Mm-hmm. We used to have them. When he went to prison, they had them. Ann Richards was governor. They had programs. You could be a habitual criminal, and you could go to jail for...
I'm very proud of the show. I learned a lot. And Mr. DeWalt, that's a very encouraging story, and it's very powerful to see that he's giving back to his organization. That's very nice.
All right, thank you for thank you for the call, and keep calling us. Okay, so the SHARP program is still helping at-risk kids. That's yes. A great acronym for your show. Tell me what your program does.
Well, actually, we go out into the community. We find kids that have, like, if they was in gangs, they want to get out. They want to get their tattoos removed or whatever. We have them to volunteer, do certain things, and we'll give them the information. We have people that will remove the tats.
Wow.
You know, like if we find individuals that maybe have crack parents or something like that, drug addicted parents, we try to get them some help, counseling.
Hold on just a second. Caller, you're on. Thank you for calling Truth and Justice.
Yes, I just want to commend you, sister, and say you're doing a great job. I watch your show. And to the brother, it's good to see, man, that you're helping the community out and so many young brothers out here who, going through things or whatever. I'm glad that you made it out strong. You look healthy and everything.
Appreciate it.
And Sister King, you one sharp sister, man. I watched the show. And I want to know, are you originally from Houston?
I'm actually from San Antonio. I graduated from high school in 1976 and moved here to go to the University of Houston. And I went there from 76 to 80 and graduated with an accounting degree. And I was actually an accountant, a nerdy accountant from 80 to 89 at the old Texas Commerce Bank shares. And then I quit the bank and went to law school. So, and then in 92, I started off as a prosecutor under Johnny Holmes. But thank you for watching. Do you have, and thank you for commenting on the show.
Are you running for office?
I am. I am running for judge, and I need everybody's support.
What district?
It's Harris County. It's the 177th District Court, but it's actually just all of Harris County. If you live in Kingwood, Tomball, Clear Lake, one of the things about judicial races is it's a county-wide race where, say, like Sheila Jackson Lee might be your congressional representative for a district that's drawn of certain neighborhoods so that black people will have representation in Congress, in D.C. Say if your state rep is Sylvester Turner, that's been a district that has been carved off so that people in Houston will have representation in Austin when laws are created similar to the laws that we're talking about now. When it comes to judicial races, they're county-wide races. So, for example, there are 37 criminal courts, 22 are felony courts. So say if me and Mr. DeWalt get arrested tonight, there's like a big old ping. It used to be when I was a DA. It might have changed, but there's a. You remember how you play bingo? There's a big bingo ball, and all 22 felony courts are in that bingo ball. All 15 misdemeanor courts are in that bingo ball. So they say, okay, we got a new one coming in. The district clerk's office picks up the 177th and gives it there, and then the 184th gets the next one. And so all 22 felony courts will have even distribution of the cases that are coming in. So the numbers, when it comes to county courts, mean nothing. I mean, when it comes to the judicial races, it means nothing. It's just the way they evenly distribute it. So say like they decide based on the census we need new courts. They'll just create some new numbers just to distinguish one court from another. But what you have to keep in mind is Harris County. It's the whole county.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
And it's for November, right?
Yes, sir. I'm on the ballot now, but I don't have a Democratic opponent. I just have an opponent in November.
Well, you should win. I believe you're going to win.
Well, I've run before in law, so I'm not sure. It's a matter of people coming out. I'll be on the ticket with Obama, so it just depends on what happens. But I'll still be practicing law, and I'll still be trying to fight for justice.
And real quick, and I'm from Chicago. Y'all, that's a winning ticket. Good combination. All right.
Thank you for calling and keep watching, okay?
Right.
And if you know any guests that want on the BL show, just call my office. You can Google me and find me. Thank you. Okay, so talk about your program again. So you said if, it's hard to remove tattoos from dark skin. How do you do that?
Yes, but they got new laser techniques and stuff. And you got a lot of people that's interested in trying to help these youngsters if these youngsters won't help. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You got a lot of people out here that's working and trying to make something happen. But the government, they'll give you the shelter for that 501c3. But you have so many different fees and things that you have to do when you funding your own program to where there are people that want to donate, but they also want that tax write off at the end of the year. If you don't have that exemption, then they're not going to want to contribute to you when they can contribute to somebody else and they're going to get that exemption.
Right. So do you have the
That's why I'm in the process now. You know what I'm saying? I'm filing for that, but at the same time, the program has to run.
Right.
So that would take that I have to prioritize because I'm everything out of pocket.
Exactly, and that's difficult. I know because I pay for the show.
Exactly.
So let's talk about your job, though. How did you create? So you got 35 years back in '91,
yes,
and you actually had to do 11 years on that 35. Yeah. So you were in prison from '89 basically to
2000.
The year 2000.
Yeah.
So you've been out almost 12 years, let's
yes,
say. So tell us, did you try to find a job at first, or what made you realize you needed to make your own job?
Well, I got out on a Monday. I was working in a plant on Tuesday.
Praise God.
You know what
That's
saying?
Good.
What I did was, like, the first thing I did, I had had a friend took me to the DPS, got my license, and I already had my Social Security card. So I went to Deer Park, know what I'm saying? They have all those subcontractors over there. And I went in one out the other one all day. That's what I spent my whole day doing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I was fortunate enough. I got a phone call. I went to work the next day. You
And
know,
they knew you were on parole and knew you had a record.
everything. You know what I'm saying? I was fresh out. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know.
Now, I wonder why that didn't happen for other people. Do you mind me taking another
Go
call,
ahead, man.
Michael? Caller, you're on. Thank you for calling Truth and Justice.
Oh, thank you. I'm on. Oh no. Okay.
Turn your volume down so it doesn't echo in my background.
I'm moving toward it now. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I just wanted to let you know this is my second time listening to you today. I started out watching Democracy Now, and you came on right after, I think, and that's cool. But I wanted to say I commend the young man there for what he's gone through. And I went through a misidentification thing back when I was in college, and I'm glad to see that you're running for office and everything, and that you're familiar with this, and there'll be somebody on the bench who can address this. What I'd like to know, though, is how can I get in touch with this young man, because I'd like to, maybe contribute to his organization.
No, that's nice of you. Tell me your name and number, and I'll give it to him and let him call you. Or do you want me to? I don't know how to tell him how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it is a nonprofit. But let me. Do you? And you might have a story you want to tell me. So just, do you care about giving me your number?
Nah, you fine.
Now I'm talking about you, the caller. Who are you? You scared to tell?
Number is 713.
And I was gonna say, and another thing you could do is you can Google me and just call my office tomorrow. But yours is 713 what?
Okay, 713-751. 0281.
Okay, and I'll give that to him after the show and let him contact you.
Okay, all right, that's good.
And if you ever want to come tell your story, I'm always looking for guests. I'm here every Wednesday, and my guest canceled, and I just met Michael over the phone yesterday, and he was gracious enough to reschedule his afternoon of helping at-risk kids when he gets off work to come and tell his story, because I'm going to give him the tape, and he knows this mic could help somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. I give to the Innocence Project because of stories about these guys. About this misidentification thing. A lot of guys and stuff sitting in jail on something I almost got caught up in back when I was in school. And man, it's sad. It is. I was working out of state for the federal government. I was in a co-op program at this college. I was working out of state on my work assignment. And when I came back to town, it was a couple of us came back to town, there had been some robberies committed in the area of the school. So we got taken down, ran through 7 lineups. He was picked out 9 times. I was picked out twice.
Wow.
And,
wow.
it was hairy.
Wow. Where was that? Was that in Houston, or where was it?
I was Houston.
What school were you going to?
I'd rather not.
Okay. Okay. Well, we understand that, but thank you for sharing that part of your story. And misidentification is a big problem. When I have a case where I know my client didn't get it, one of the things I'm doing now is you can motion the court for an identity expert. The last one I talked to, I've never used one in a trial, but the last one expert I talked to is a PhD professor of psychology at Texas A&M, and he was willing to come down for a court-appointed fee, because it was a court-appointed murder case that I was doing, but by the grace of God, that case was dismissed. But we can't go forward anymore without the science of someone trying to say why identification, witness identification can be so faulty. And
that's right.
But doesn't mean, we do have bona fide victims who are victims of crime who can identify, the person who did it. But the things need to match, kind of like what Michael said. If she said the man robbed her with white T-shirt and blue jeans, well, by golly, if he was arrested right then and had no car and no way to change clothes, then
it should have been sprung. Boom, right away.
Right away. And so, that's a problem. But it's also an urban problem, a community problem, because we need to go to jury duty. Black people
I do, but they never pick me.
No, and I don't mean you. When I say, I'm talking globally. I'm talking about the whole community. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Thank you for your call, and we're going to continue this discussion. But, that's one of the problems we have. Like, a lot of people were asking me, and I was able to be a legal expert on, I think, Fox 26 last last Wednesday when the police officer was found not guilty.
Yes.
And they're wondering, how can that happen? Well, and why are there no blacks? Well, it's not Dick DeGuerin or Pat Lycos' fault that there's no black people there. It's our fault for not coming to jury duty.
Yeah.
You don't understand that until you get caught up in a case. Like in your case, how many blacks were on the jury?
I actually think we had one African guy, you know what I'm saying? But it showed me a lot about the trial, you know what I'm saying? You know, where we thought that how the whole selection process goes, you know, where each side has so many strikes and whatever left, that's what we go with.
Right. You didn't know that was
Yeah,
like
we
that because
didn't,
people
you know,
don't know.
exactly.
And that's what I was trying to tell people. It depends on how many people show up that day. And a lot of people get their jury summons, they just throw it away. Let me take this call and we'll continue to talk about jury service when I finish. Ooh, I accidentally hung up on you. Call me right back. I'm sorry, I hit the button wrong. But caller, you're on.
Hey, Vivian, how you doing?
Good. Who is this?
Joe Ballard again. I'm just sitting there watching you.
Who is that?
I talked to you last week about
Okay.
the police
Yes, sir. Okay.
thing, yeah.
You have any comments about what we're talking about tonight?
Well, I just turned in and I'm gonna pick my daughters up today. I took them out to vote.
Good for you. I'm glad you went out to vote.
I showed them the purpose and the meaning of voting. You know, what things are the way they are today. We got to take responsibilities for ourselves. And like I say, I hear a lot of people say, you know, it's not going to help. It's not going to do that. Yeah, it's going to help if you get out and vote.
Absolutely, because the people who are in office were absolutely voted in office. Yeah. And it's my understanding that out in Kingwood, early voting, they voting their butts off. And, you know, a lot of times in certain neighborhoods, they just go and vote straight R. Because you have to realize judicial races are one party against another party. They're not me against you.
Yes.
The city of Houston elections that are in odd years, like 09, 11, 13, that's the city of Houston. It's Mayor Anise Parker against Gene Locke, or Jolanda Jones against someone else. You don't know what party they are. They're individual races. If I was running as an individual, or say Mike was running as an individual, we could win because you have to actually vote for the person. But that's not the way judicial races are. They're party elections. And so either everybody on the party is either going to win or lose, and that's what people need to understand when they go in there. You can go in and say, well, I'm just going to vote for who I know. Well, if you don't know me, and I certainly don't have the money to get to, it's 2 million registered voters in Harris County. It's like 1.9 million registered voters. I got about $2,000 probably in my account because I'll have a fundraiser. I'll spend more money on food than on donations because, you know, we don't have a community that donates. And because all of the judges have basically been Republicans since 1994, lawyers are afraid to donate because their names are going to be on campaign finance reports, and they don't want to say, okay, well, if you lose, then the Republican is going to still be there, and then they're going to be mean to my clients because they see that I donated to you. So it's very difficult. The politics is way deeper than people could even imagine. So then you have to rely on regular people. I'll go to Party on the Plaza and try to, I remember when I ran in 2010, and people were like, I'm giving them my cards. What you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for me? I mean, that's what everybody's attitude. People don't have a community attitude until they get in trouble, and then they want the community to help. So I appreciate you taking your children. Your children might be the state representatives of tomorrow. They might be the judges of tomorrow. And like I said, I might never get there, but I'm going to try to explain and educate the public about the system, and hopefully we'll have fair representation in the courts in the future.
Well, I make sure I explain to my girls because this ballot they have right now is real confusing, and that's why I took her. And I stood right there with her, and she had any questions to ask me. And I told her, you make your own decision. I told her who these folks were, and she got to pay attention. They need to pay attention. And we was out at the polls on Sunday. You know, people just pass right by you, just going by their merry way. But when something happen like the Chad Holly thing or whatever go on in the community, and the first thing they say, and what folks you should work for? No, it's you.
No, it's you. You're exactly right.
Keep on doing what you're doing. You think you can keep on hustling. You think you can keep on running these streets. You know, you don't have no Social Security. You can't bury yourself. You can't do this here. You want somebody to take care of you.
Yeah, what frustrates me, caller, is that so many young people on Section 8 housing. I mean, why are people doing that? And those are the people that need to be voting because somebody gave you that housing. Because people of my generation, there was no such thing as a girl getting pregnant and going living on Section 8 housing. Yeah. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying someone created that program for you, and you're not, and you won't even go vote. I mean, it's just an awful situation, and all young people should be working, and all young people should be volunteering to help their community.
A lot of these young girls have babies just to get on Section 8.
Yeah, that needs to stop. We need to have a community that works and that's productive. I don't have a problem with giving the kids daycare, giving the kids free health care, but these young girls need to be working. They need to be working for what they get. We need to take care of the kids, but not them. But that, you know, and until we have accountability, like you said, you know, the community is going to continue to go down. So let's hope we have more accountability. And thank you for your call.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so where do we leave off?
Man, we were just talking about the different situations going on. About,
Can we take another call?
yeah, we.
Okay. Caller, you're on. You have a comment? Oops, she hung up on me.
Giggling.
Okay, so we said your program will remove the tats.
Yeah.
You'll go in and talk to kids that are at risk. Like you have a project that got you in a little trouble recently.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the kid or the situation? Not his name by name, but what type of child you're working with right now?
Well, actually, I had this one that's had a situation with his mom. She's a single parent, and you know, he's acting out very violently to the point where she thinks that she feels death, you know what I'm saying, imminent harm or whatever, you know what I'm saying, from her own child. You know, he's a good kid for his school. His grades good, but he's just going through a stage right now where everything, forget the world, you know what I'm saying, he shuts down and now he want to do some things that's
Illegal things.
Exactly.
So you can see that he might be about to go down the path that you were accused of going down.
Exactly.
And his mother's scared of him.
Yes.
So what did you do to try to intervene through your Shark program?
Well, actually, I took him to deal with one of my other guys that I work with, and they took him to the mortuary, let him see young guys that's his age that already been dead, you know, already been killed. You know what I'm saying? He went into the prison system, you know what I'm saying, just after the situation. He been to the prison system where he could see what a day in the life of the prisoners is, you know, and lately he been, you know, having to go let me know, like when he read books, he talk to me about it and let me know what the book was about, you know what I'm saying? And I give him a little something for, you know, letting me know, you know, it's like I give him it's like a reward thing. I give him a book, if he read that book, he come back and tell me what that book was about. Me and him got an agreement that I take care of with him.
All righty. Can I take another call,
Yeah.
Michael? Thank you for calling Truth and Justice. Please turn your volume down, and I welcome your comment.
Prank call.
I don't know if it's a prank call or not. So you reward him after he does something good, and then after that, what happens?
Yeah. Well, right now he's trying to get in school. Well, he's doing all this lettering and stuff, and he seemed to be trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? I hate to see him get lost because, like I told you, when I went in the system, I had a high school diploma, and at that time, the state was trying to let you know that a person with a high school diploma, that the system wasn't for them. It took 5-6 years before they even let me go to school. The reason being that the state couldn't get paid for me going to school. That seat that I would have been sitting in, they would have got paid for somebody that dropped out of school or had a Wyndham education. So for like 5-6 years, I was in prison doing flat time, you know, until they came up with this wonderful idea. Oh, let them pay for their own school.
Whoa, hold on. Let's call that thought. Caller, you're on. Thank you for your call.
How you doing, Attorney King?
Hey, how are you?
Okay, I want to ask a question. I heard you guys allude to the selection process, the board down process. How could the court or, I guess, the leaders, the community, what could they do to address the discrimination that goes on in the selection process so you can at least try to get a fair trial amongst your peers?
Well, the first thing we have to do is get people to come. I have a young lawyer that works with me all the time. Monique Sparks said that she went to jury duty today, and it just wasn't that many minorities there. I mean, you're selected randomly from the computer from your driver's license, okay? So everybody has driver's license, so you're going to be called at some point. So first of all, you have to not toss it in the trash, and you have to go to jury duty. So it's enough people to pick from. And then once you get sent over to a court, say like in a in the cops case on Chad Holly, I think they were bringing over 77 people, let's say, to just try to get 6. I mean, you got to have, you need to have about 20 black people of that 77, but there's usually not that many people to pick from. But anyway, in the voir dire selection process, the prosecutor and the defense lawyer are looking for people who can be fair and impartial. So questions are going to be asked to see if you slant one side or the other. It's called a strike for cause. So if I stand up and say, look, everybody in my family's been to prison, I favor people not going to prison, I think the cops lie all the time, you're stricken because you can't be fair to the state. If someone else says, no, I think that as long as there's someone that identifies him as the robber, I'm going to find him guilty. They can't be fair because they can't listen and wait and decide. Prosecutors sometimes ask a trick question. How many people, based on religious reasons, can't stand in judgment of a person? That's the one that usually gets black people, because everybody black is the most religious person in the world. You know what I mean? And so, but religion, I mean, but you might not even be judging the person because people don't have to testify. And you're not judging the person, you're judging the credibility of the person, the believability. Were they in a position where they could see what actually happened? It doesn't mean they're lying, they just didn't see it. So we go through a process where we're striking people who can't be fair. Once we get a fair jury, if it's a felony, each side gets a certain number of strikes. In a misdemeanor is 3, in a felony is 10. So you get to decide who you're going to strike, because I don't like people that work at the post office. But it has to be a race-neutral reason. It can't be because they're black. If so, there's a famous case called Batson versus Kentucky, and you can just Google that case, United States Supreme Court case, that says every juror, every black or white juror has a constitutional right, an equal protection right to be on that jury. And I can raise that. So if I'm representing him and I think the prosecutor struck black jurors that said that they could be fair and impartial just because they're black, then I raise a Batson challenge to that. But that's the way it goes. I don't know. I'm probably telling you more than you want to know. But
that's preemptory strikes, is that correct?
Yeah, it's called a preemptory strike. And you cannot use that for racial reasons. It has to be some reason other than race. And that's a peremptory challenge. And
do prosecutors preemptory strike African Americans because of a history or a systemic racism in the criminal justice system?
Well, they're not supposed to.
Okay.
I mean, they're not supposed to, but if they do, the defense lawyer has the duty to call them on the carpet to answer to the court as to why they struck minorities. But I believe the prosecutors try not to do that. I think that some of them do it, but I know that they're taught not to. And when I was a prosecutor, I certainly didn't do it. You sound like you're a lawyer anyway, but thank you for the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No. All right, we have 10 minutes. Come on, did you hold your thought? You remember where you were?
Yeah, we were talking about the school situation inside the penal system.
Okay, inside the penal system. So since you had a high school diploma,
yes,
they didn't want to give you any further education because they wouldn't get that grant money for those people who were dropouts.
Yes.
And you were the rarity, especially in 1989.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, there's a huge correlation between dropout rates and people who go to prison.
Exactly.
Now, and I'm sure there was even back then.
Yes.
But now the system is more prosecutorial, and I would just love for young people to get more involved. I always sit there and wonder, how can I educate them? How can I tell them what's going on in the system? How can I let them know if you do 10 years, and say you only make $20,000 a year, 20 times 10 is $200,000.
Exactly.
Versus in prison, you're not going to make anything. But you're fussing about the job where you make $20,000 a year at Jack in the Box. I mean, I just don't know how to, at 53, I guess I'm just too old to try to communicate with older people, young people. Caller, you're on. You've got Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Please call in. What's your comment?
Hi, I'd like to suggest to your caller that he has the young man that he says he gives rewards to for reading books. I would suggest that he reads the new Jim Crow book by Michelle Alexander. It's called The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. Mm-hmm. She's an Ohio State University law professor, and it's a recent book that she has out, and it's very enlightening.
Okay. We appreciate that. Thank you, son. You got a comment? Any other comments for Mr. DeWalt?
Keep up the great work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and unfortunately, this young man's situation, I don't know how much Michael wants to tell you, kind of, by trying to help him, kind of got him in a little trouble. Do you want to talk about that? He's not going to talk about that, but okay, well, Michael's in a little trouble, and I didn't even know that when he came on, but he's such a good guy that helping this young man has gotten him in a little bit of trouble, and he is on parole for 35 years. So you're on parole until 2026.
Yes.
That's right. So now, because Michael's on parole, he can't vote until after he gets off parole. So remember, if you're on parole, you can't vote, but if you're off paper, you can. Caller, you're on. Is there someone there? Guess he hung up on me. All right. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about what you do to help kids. So we remove tattoos, and that's a good thing. Like I said, I didn't know you could remove tattoos on dark skin. You take them to the mortuary.
Yeah.
Now, to the morgue. Now, how do you get that set up to go to the morgue?
Well, all you have to do is you just have to speak with the owner of the. You can have the county morgue, city morgue. Then you have individually owned. You know, I know a couple of guys that grew up in the neighborhood, like Troy. They used to be at McCoy and Harris. You know, they prominent in the community, always trying to help people. They might not have enough insurance or whatever. Just talk with them and let them know you have a group coming through and you're trying to save them.
Do you think looking at dead people helps?
Well, then you show them, when you show a little girl, you know what I'm saying, a 9-year-old girl, 11-year-old girl that's out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying, their father may have been molesting or stepfather may have been molesting them. They don't believe that's reality until they see somebody their size, their age, you know what I'm saying, dead.
Wow. Let's take another call. We're getting close to wrapping it up. Thank you for calling Truth and Justice with Vivian King.
Yes, how you doing, Miss King?
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. I just wanted to let you know I enjoy the show.
Okay.
I watched the show with Johnny Binder, the young man named Cam that was wrongly accused, the old school guy you had on there. So I'm very familiar with the show.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to know if you were still had aspirations for running for judge.
I do. I want to do that, but I have even more aspirations to try to educate my community. But yes, I'm on the ballot now, actually. I haven't been making a lot of noise about it because I don't have a Democratic primary opponent. I'll be the Democratic representative for the Republican in November, but the Republicans do have 2 people vying against them for the position that I'm running for. There's a Democrat, yeah, so anyway, that's it. But yes, sir, I am still running.
And I know you were saying that, because I always watch the show, and you were saying that, you know, we don't have the activists like the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons to kind of help you. What do you think maybe about somebody like a Roland Martin? Because I always hear him talking about Houston, and I think he's from here.
He is from here. He's from 3rd Ward. Yeah, you're right. I see him on the Tom Joyner cruise. He doesn't seem that. Call my office and talk to me, and let's see if we can put a plan together. Just call my office, okay? I appreciate you calling. Just Google me and get my number. Call my office. I'm in court most of the day, but I return all phone calls every day.
Okay, and I wouldn't mind helping you with your campaign. So just kind of remember the guy who brought up the Roland Martin situation.
Just tell me your first name.
My first name is Don.
Okay, I'll remember you, Don. Just I'll remember that.
I have one more quick comment.
Yes, sir.
The show is so interesting and entertaining, like the crime stories. You ever thought about having like maybe Rashonda Tate or somebody look into making I don't know a movie or something out of one of your stories?
No, I hadn't thought about that. You know what? I am a serious lawyer. I represent people who don't have much money. They're just a little bit higher, more than indigent. A lot of single mothers with boys. I miss all my daughter's activities, trying to help them. I'm running here from my office, so I'm spread so thin. It's not like I have a production staff. I'm the producer. I find the guests. Somebody with a live show, if they cancel, like I said, I'm calling people, do you know somebody that has an interesting story? So in the middle of trying to represent my clients who have serious cases, who need me to fight for them. So I would love to branch out, but I just don't have the time or anybody volunteering to help me.
Well, you definitely have some interesting stories and cases. So just, maybe something to keep in mind. Might even bring some more money to what you're doing.
Yeah, and I can actually, I've been told I can get sponsors. I just have never tried to do that. What I really want to do, to me, people's stories are interesting, and I actually care about people. So I think people will care if they hear their stories and realize you don't have to be scared of people in trouble. A lot of people turn their lives around. And
well, I enjoy watching you. Just keep up the good work. Tell the brother next to you to hold his head up.
Oh, he's the man. He's doing it. He's doing it. He's doing it, and he's one of those success stories, and I'm very proud of it.
Miss King, you're looking very nice today. I love what you did with your hair.
A girl got to change it up every now and then. Thank you, Don. So anyway, we have 4 minutes. So tell us about what you're doing. You didn't get to talk about being a barber.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that right quick before we hang
Well,
up.
you know, for a long time while I was in prison, I was inmate barbers, you know what I'm saying? I ran the barber shop. So when I came home, you know, once again, because I had my diploma, I couldn't take the trade because the trade was offered in prison. But I couldn't take it, so I got out. I had to work in the plant at night, go to barber college in the day. I finished out of Texas Barber College, opened my first shop up on Reed Road where the Sylvie is. Then they called me and they wanted me to become an instructor. So I actually, when they opened their second location on Cavalcade, I actually became an instructor over there. You know, I went over there and taught the guys what I knew and handpicked 5 guys and had me a shop built and put it on McCall Road.
Wow. So now you have your own shop.
Yes.
What's the name of it?
D's Paragon.
Wow. So how long have you had it?
Well, I actually officially opened the day before Thanksgiving.
So last year. What a great story. So you've been out since 2000. You've worked in your own organization. You work with OG1,
Yes.
Which is another nonprofit. You have turned what you did in prison into a trade.
Yes.
To where you have your own barbershop, and then you still teach barber
Yes.
at the barber college.
Well, actually, no. Now I'm actually getting the last license. I need the last license, so hopefully
How many
sometime.
licenses do you have to have?
You have one more license, and I get that license. Hopefully within like the next 5 years, I may be able to do a school.
Wow.
So I need that last license.
And that would be great, because then we could take some of the kids in their second chance program from prison
Exactly.
to barber college so that they can learn a trade and maybe learn how to do hair. I guess these days you have to do hair and barber.
That's the steps.
That's the steps.
That's the.
Well, we have 2 minutes left. Is there something, I want to just commend you on what you've done. I'm proud of you as a young black man turning your life around. I also want the public to know that Saturday, May the 5th, you were honored at the Houston Hobby Center. The National Women of Achievement honored Men of Valor, and there was a lot of great men honored, and you were one of them for for turning your life around and for your community service. I read your article in there. They don't even talk about you going to prison. They're just talking about all the good things that you've done in 12 years. So I'm very proud of you, and I appreciate you volunteering your time to educate people, to enlighten people, to show kids how you can just get caught up in something, doing one wrong thing, get caught up doing another wrong thing, and then I'm doing 35 years for a crime you didn't commit.
Exactly.
But yet you were out there doing stuff.
Exactly.
That you shouldn't have been doing. What's the moral to that story, you think, for kids?
For me, I think that they got to understand that for everything that you do, you're going to be accountable for it. You know, at the end of the day, the only person know what goes on is you and God. So if you know you out here doing some things that nobody don't know, it's going to come back and bite you.
I agree. I agree. Well, one thing I want to ask you, Michael, I know you have a busy schedule, but would you come and co-host with me another night?
No problem.
Like if I have somebody else here, I usually have a lawyer sitting in this chair, but everybody cancels on me, so it's just me and you tonight. But sometime if maybe one of my lawyers cancels, maybe you can come in, because share their experiences, help me co-host, so I don't have to tell the law and be the host at the same time.
That's fine.
But maybe you can start coming in to try to help me if you can get off work. The moral to the story is that you can turn your life around. We want you to turn your life around. We want you to participate in the criminal justice system, not just as the defendants, not as the parents of the defendants, but to register to vote. You can go online to Harris County Votes and register. You can come to jury duty. You can learn more about the system. You can volunteer. What I think kids don't do enough of is volunteering. We've taught our kids to be too much of me, me. It's not me, it's your whole community. And stop blaming other people for our problems. A lot of times it is other people's fault, but if you're walking in the right way, there are people here that'll help pick you up, you know, like a Michael and like a me. But it's only so much we can do. So thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King, and look at the man in the mirror and decide what you can do to help your community. Thank you for watching.